Yo, what's going on, guys? We are back for another JJK chapter, and this one, if you're a Yuji fan, I mean, fuck you first of all, I guess, because Gege does not care. He goes right to Kenjaku after showing us this fight that's about to happen versus Yuji and Higuruma and Sukuna. Like, this fight is about to be crazy with Higgy's domain expansion and all that stuff, but no. We're gonna cut to Kenjaku doing what he said, killing off like extra sorcerers and all the stragglers in the culling games. But right away we see at the start of the chapter 239, we have this woman with curly hair. She has like this, I don't know how to explain it, like maybe a maid or like a really fancy dress on, and she's like just jumping away and running away. And then we see in the editor's note thing, while the Shinjuku showdown is still going on, our princess is like running away or dashing forth. And it's really weird because like this is a character we've never seen, and a lot of people were thinking this is Uro, but I'm pretty sure it's not, because Mayamura, he cleared it up that like Gege said that he was supposed to have this person show up earlier, but he didn't. I'm pretty sure this is just a new character, some like reincarnated sorcerer, because their eyes are black, or maybe that's just how they were before. But she's just talking about how like, why is this happening? Like, is Kenjaku really getting this desperate? She keeps talking about how like the rules of the culling games have like made us kill each other, but like, you know, this is basically him saying it's not enough. Like, this shit has to hurry up. And we know Kenjaku basically wants his plan to come to fruition. And we get a lot more, I guess, like a monologue from Kenjaku on what he really wants at the end of the day. And I think we sort of knew about like all the assimilation and stuff, but he gives us more like solid reasonings later. But she like screams like, what are you after, Kenjaku? Like, you know, you kept us all alive as cursed objects, but now you're just gonna kill us. Like, you know, you gave us life, but you're gonna take it away from us that quickly. And, you know, she's confused because obviously she took this deal with Kenjaku so that she could come back to life later on and like, you know, wreak havoc and do whatever she wants. But she's being chased by Kenjaku himself. And then she gets caught by this sort of jellyfish looking like cursed spirit. And this is using Geto's ability, of course, his curse technique. But like Kenjaku starts talking like, if it has like no flavor, add some seasoning. And if it's too strong, then like keep it coming. Like, I'm not really too sure what this means, but like in my head, this means like Kenjaku's like, hey, if you guys are too weak, I'm gonna make you stronger. And even if you're strong, I'm okay with that because, you know, I'm built different. He keeps talking about how like all these reincarnated sorcerers, they're all like inefficient and they really serve no purpose to him. Like, he has no attachment at all. And like during this whole time, she's getting like drowned sort of like by this cursed spirit, or she's getting sealed basically, I guess. But like she like trying to breathe and, you know, she can't get out. And then like she tries to like fire an attack, and this is where we know this isn't Uro, because she would have used like her sky manipulation thing. But like she fires an attack like with her hair, and it like turns into like a, I guess like a spike thing, and it fires at him. But like Kenjaku just dodges out of the way, and like her head turns into like this boulder thing, which is like really interesting. So like this cursed spirit thing is like, you know, made to seal people, I guess. But Kenjaku goes down like to her now that she can't really do anything to him. He's like, you know, be it as it may, but you know, doing this sort of feels a little wasteful because, you know, he could have had all these pawns, but at the end of the day, he really doesn't need them, and he needs actually them all to die for his plan to come to fruition. But like then he like flicks her like head, which has like solidified into a rock at this point, and like this is like giving me, I don't know, like JoJo stand vibes for some reason, but it has like eyes on it and it looks goofy. But he hits it, flicks it, I guess, and then like this weird like panel we get of like her head like ringing, I guess it would be, and she sort of dies at this point, I'm pretty sure. But like I think her last words before she dies is like, do you know the location of the other players too? Because she's wondering how like he found her so quickly. And I'm pretty sure she dies like right after she says this, because we have somebody come in that says like, you know, she's already dead. But before this, Kenjaku does like, you know, a little monologue to her corpse, talking about, you know, I applied cursed objects to all you guys, so I basically have trackers inside of all you. And like, it's not really that hard to find you at all, so, you know, it doesn't really matter. Plus, you guys didn't leave the colonies, which was a benefit to me. So, you know, fuck you. He's basically like, you know, I got all these master plans that really don't need explaining because you're too lowly to understand, but I'm just gonna talk to your like corpse just to feel, you know, so big and like high and mighty and shit. But we have someone come in saying like, you know, why are you talking to this person? They're dead. And then this other dude continues to say like, you know, living as long as you have, you probably gotten used to talking to yourself. And then Kenny's like, yeah, my circle of friends are dwindling. I don't got many left, or many in general, because, you know, I guess Sukuna would not be his friend because, you know, they're sort of like the enemy of my enemies, like my, you know, ally and stuff like that. So they're not really friends, but they work together to benefit both of them. But Kenny keeps talking about, you know, how would you like to be my friend? You know, Hazenoki. And it gets revealed this is Hazenoki. He wears like overalls and he has like no shirt on and he has like the blonde hair or whatever. But he has the curse technique where like he can like pull out his eye and like make it into a bomb. And then the reverse curse technique to basically, you know, heal himself up. So he's a really strong, like reincarnated sorcerer, just talking to Kenjaku at this point. And he sort of hunted him down because, you know, there's stuff later that goes on, like they're about to fight. And Hazenoki's like, well, I mean, I've heard worse suggestions, I guess, than like being your friend, but he doesn't really care. And Kenny's like, oh gosh, well, I got 2 rules for you being my friend if you do. And he's like, 1, you can't bore me. And 2, you got to be my equal. And like 2 things that probably Sukuna, like he is, but they're not friends in the, I guess, typical sense. Maybe in Kenjaku's twisted way, they are friends. But Hazenoki, he's like, you know, I don't really want to have friendships with any more long-haired dudes. And I think he's referring to Reggie Star, you know, that dude that fought Megami with that paper talisman technique. So he's basically like, I don't want to be friends with no more people that are going to use me. And Kenny's like, oh, what a shame. And he's just pouting. But right then he gets a notification on his phone and they're live streaming Gojo's death. And he's like, oh, I see. Sukuna expanded his technique. That's interesting. I'm glad you're enjoying yourself. And like, he's just like, oh, wow, this is interesting. Sort of all according to plan, but Hazenoki sort of took a break too to like watch on his phone too. And he's like, you know, oh, he lost to Gojo. Damn, I guess like, you know, if they won, they would be going after you next. But like, you know, I guess I don't have any backup now. And this is where we learned like Hazenoki is there to fight Kenjaku. And he's like, damn, now I won't have any backup from like Gojo and these other sorcerers that were going to come here or come after you after like Sukuna's out of the way. Because Sukuna's, you know, the number 1, like I guess priority at this point because he can cause the most damage. Well, Kenny should be the number 1 priority, but like, you know, he's sort of in the shadows and like nobody really cares about him at this moment, which, you know, he is the biggest like priority in this whole thing to get rid of. But either way, Kenny's talking about, you know, I have like surveillance, like cursed spirits all over like the Culling Games area. And he can basically like monitor how much cursed energy is in each like colony. And he like knows like when people leave and all this stuff. But right here we get the confirmation that like the number 2 in the modern era is Yuta, because he says like right now like Yuta Okotsu has the most curse energy, which like makes him really easy to find. And okay, let's just hype up our boy like that. I'm so ready for his fight with Kenjaku if we ever do get to it. But Yuta, you better not disappoint because the whole community has been hyping him up forever. He's just insanely built different. I mean, we got to see the full extent of his repertoire. And Kenjaku also says like, this also helps me like keep track of Maki because, you know, she has no cursed energy, so I can't like see her through like my cursed energy like tracking ways. But with the cursed spirits he has out there, he can see through their eyes. So he can like watch Maki basically. And that's really interesting that he notes that because, you know, Maki is the only person that can travel in and out of the colonies without being noticed by anybody, and the only person that like can go around without being noticed, like in general. He has to keep track on her because she's just the goat. And then Hazenoki starts talking about like, oh gosh, you've really just been waiting around back here being like scared of all these people. Like, you know, you're quite the coward. And then Kenjaku's like sort of laughing. He's like, this is just between the 2 of us, you know, we'll keep it there. But he ain't really going to survive much longer, in my opinion, because Kenjaku sends like a wave of cursed spirits at him, and it just looks awesome. It reminds me of the first manga, volume 0, or like the Night Parade of 1,000 Curses, or whatever it was, where just like we get these panels of just insane amount of curses just coming out and stuff. It just looks dope. But Hazenoki at this point, he's like, oh gosh, I got to do something. And he pulls out his tooth and like throws it to make a bomb, obviously. And then Kenjaku's talking about like, you really think you could fight me without like any backup? Like, you. But we see this huge explosion and Hazenoki, he's running away from another cursed spirit, and he throws his like eyeball out at it and it blows up, of course. But we see these other, like, I guess fly head curses, but they like really long nose things that like stab into Hazenoki. And then we have Kenjaku walking up all like foreboding and menacingly, and he's like, you know, I know you got reverse curse technique, so that's why I'm just gonna, you know, target your head, but I'm gonna make sure that like from the neck down you can't use it. So he's got these like fly head things stuck like into his neck right underneath his head, and Hazenoki's all bloody and stuff. He's like, the other girl asked, but like, what's your end game here? And this is where we get the more clarification on what Kenjaku wants to do, basically. And he's like, oh, well, did I not say it already? Well, I guess when you're such a chatterbox like me, you know, things tend to slip and you don't know like who you said it to and when. Also, if you guys like the JJK content so far, want new chapter reviews each week, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Back to the video. He basically says, I want to end the culling games, like kill all the players, and then start the binding vow that assimilates all of Japan or all the Japanese people into Tengen, or into that one life form that is Tengen. And then Hazenoki's like, what the fuck is that? Because this is obviously over his head. It's too complex for him. And Kenjaku needed like Geto's curse technique to do this. So obviously his plan doesn't really make sense because, you know, Geto's curse technique isn't really like known by everyone and like the abilities that it has. But he keeps talking about like, I want to see something that I've never seen before. You know, if something interests you, like, don't you want to see it to its end or something like that? Or like, don't you want to see it like in real life? And obviously this like goes back to Kenjaku, his just like insane curiosity, or like I guess morbid curiosity, where he wants to see this crazy shit happen in real life. But like, you know, it's just stuff that is like theoretically possible, like, you know, the assimilation of all these people into one being theoretically is possible. But he was like, you know, thinking about it one day and said, let me just make that happen real quick. And I guess, you know, his plans are in play right now, so he's probably going to be able to do it. But we get this really like scary panel of just Kenjaku's face blacked out besides his eyes and his scar. And he says, you know, isn't that what it means to be like truly alive, to like, you know, follow your passions and, you know, find out what's interesting in life and stuff like that. And it's just, he's sick, bro. This dude is a sick fuck. And then Hazenoki ends it off with a little like quip. He's like, well, like, if you really want to know about stuff, just stare at your like shit in the morning. And we see like a big blood splatter on the ground. So I'm pretty sure Hazenoki's dead. Rest in peace. We got 2 sorcerers killed off in this chapter instead of the Yuji versus Sukuna fight. But either way, we see Tabata walk up. I'm pretty sure it's Tabata, but Kenjaku's like, who the hell is this? Like, why is he coming up? And Tabata's like singing a song, like something about like, I don't know the Japanese, like, I guess a reference in what song it is, but he's like singing about being in some place in Japan, but they're actually not in that place. And Kenjaku says it, and he thinks at this moment, he's like, why'd he come here by himself? He's like, Mei's crows aren't around, and like, there's no backup, so why would he face me like one-on-one? It doesn't really make any sense. But he asks himself at this time, like, maybe it was Mei's brother's technique, and that sort of gets revealed as like, it's a like space-time technique or like teleportation technique where he can basically teleport people around. And I'm pretty sure that's how they got, I think it was to Malaysia at the end of Shibuya. I'm pretty sure it was Malaysia, but when they're in bed together in that really weird scene. But we basically get it confirmed that Ue, I think that's how you say his name, he has like a teleportation technique. But Kenjaku's like, you know, I don't really have much interest in all these like, you know, new sorcerers that came about from the culling games. Besides Higuruma, he has some potential, the only one with potential. But like, you know, as we know, Tabata, he has an insane curse technique. And while Kenjaku has all these inner monologues and stuff, he throws an attack at him, and he thinks he kills him, I'm pretty sure. But then Tabata walks out. He's like, you know, what are you doing, man? Like, and obviously like the comedy aspect of his curse technique is in play right now, where he thinks this attack is funny. But he's like, you know, I'm about to beat your ass up for doing that, bro. That's a little bit too much. He, like, in this translation, he says, I'll have you thrown in jail for that. And I love that. And we get this crazy shocked face from Kenjaku, which, you know, not in character for him at all, but that dude just survived a near-death experience, which should not have happened. I guess an experience that should have killed him. But Kenjaku starts like thinking about this, and he's like, you know, I've never had this feeling before. It's not that my attack didn't work, it's that it was forced into not working. Obviously, this is our boy's curse technique, which he basically can bend reality with it, and it's really just a crazy technique which we've been wanting to see like it more. And I guess this is where we're going to see its upper limits, because I'm pretty sure most of us think that he's going to get stomped by Kenjaku, but in reality, there is a chance that he could beat Kenjaku because his technique is like the counter, I guess, to every single technique in the world. Unless a domain comes into play, which I'm not sure how Kenjaku's open domain would work against like his curse technique, which, I mean, I guess if he finds it funny, it don't really matter, but if he gets his ass beat enough, he might stop thinking it's funny. I'm not sure, because there's a lot of things that could happen, a lot of bullshit, but right at the end of this chapter, we have the last page, and they're talking about, there's all sorts of exciting stuff in this world, but the best thing in this world, like the number one spot, has got to go to the moment that a side character steals the show. And obviously, that's sort of true because, I mean, in most anime manga, don't you like love when our like beloved side characters like do something crazy? Like Killua in Hunter x Hunter, I guess, like he's not really, I guess, a side character. He's part of the main cast, but like when he goes crazy in the Chimera Ant arc, like that shit's awesome to see. But like, Kenjaku at the end of this chapter, he's like, that's for sure, with like a smug look on his face. And I just love how Gay is drawing Kenjaku right now. I mean, I'm not sure if he's doing it any differently, but he just looks clean. He looks beautiful. That's all I gotta say. And Gege's art style has definitely changed a little bit, but end of the chapter, I'm pretty sure it's no break, but that's just a W, because I'm just gonna guess we're not seeing the Yuji versus Sukuna fight, I mean, for the next maybe 2 or 3 chapters. And if I'm wrong, I pray to God I'm wrong, please. But I mean, I just see this fight continuing on because, we just introduced Tabata, or Takaba, sorry. I've been saying it wrong the whole time. I'm sorry. I just read the bottom thing. It says Takaba takes the stage. But him versus Kenjaku is probably just going to be the next, like, I guess, chapter or 2, which I don't see this lasting more than a chapter, but I'd be happy if it does last 2, just to see what the fuck's going on. And then maybe we cut back to Yuji and Sukuna, like in the middle of the fight and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens next, because this chapter is a complete deviation from like what everybody thought would happen, but it's still a good chapter at the end of the day because it provides a lot of exposition for what Kenjaku, like, I guess, has been doing in the games and like how he can control the game so easily. So I guess, yes, this chapter was needed to explain how the calling games like actually like worked and how they're gonna end. And I guess Kenjaku's finally moving along with his plan like fully now, so we're not gonna see him sit back and relax for the rest of this manga, I hope. And also I hope he gets his ass beat by Takaba, because man, would that be fucking hilarious, because I fucking love him. He's too funny. But thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it if you made it this far. If you have any theories on what's going to happen next, please let me know in the comments. But subscribe if you liked the video. I'd appreciate that. And peace.